Hey everyone, today our lesson is going to be on grouping symbols. Our learning target is that you will be able to evaluate numerical expressions with parentheses, brackets, and braces. Now that may sound like a lot, but it's really a lot more simple, and it has to do, it's pretty similar with our lesson that we were working on the last couple of days with order of operations as well as evaluating numerical expressions. It goes right along with that. The first thing that I need you to do is I need you to write this part down right here into your math journal. Your correct order of evaluating numerical expressions with parentheses, brackets, and braces is to first do what's inside the parentheses, then to do what's inside the brackets, and finally do what's inside the braces. So, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a second, but go ahead and pause the video, make sure you have this as well as what each of these things looks like. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our first expression right here. So we are going to go ahead and evaluate this expression. I know it looks like a lot, but once you break it down, it really works pretty nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by looking for the very innermost piece, or in other words, what's the very inmost inside part of this expression, and that's the parentheses. So like I said above, you always start with their parentheses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to start by finding the value inside my parentheses. So my first one right here, I have 8 minus 3. Well, we know that 8 minus 3 is 5, so I'm going to write 5 directly underneath it, and I'm going to cross this part out because I've figured that out. I have found the value, I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to leave that, but we also have some parentheses over here that we need to find the value of. So here we have 5 times 6, which we all know is 30. So I'm going to cross that out and write 30 underneath. Please remember to cross it out because if you don't, it gets a little confusing here in a second. All right, so as you can see, we've found the value of both of our parts in parentheses. So now we need to move on and we need to bring the rest of the expression down to join. So we're going to start on the outside here. Remember, this is a brace. It's kind of funky. It's kind of hard to draw. Basically, you kind of come down, you go to a point, and then you come down around again. Mine always look a little rough. Then you go to your brackets. I have my 5, and I don't need to add the parentheses because remember, I've already used the parentheses. I solved it, and I have 5 now. But I do need what's left inside the braces, or the brackets, which is times 2. And I'm going to add my closing bracket right here. Then I'm going to put my plus sign, bring down my bracket, and again, we don't need to include our parentheses because that's our first step. We have our 30 now. We do need to include the minus 5. We need to close off our bracket and close off our brace somehow. And then put my division symbol divided by 5. All right, so first step done. Next step in our grouping expressions, we move on to the brackets. The brackets are the ones that kind of they're squared off, they look like half of a rectangle almost. We're going to move on to that part. So I'm going to switch colors here real quick. Okay, so next we have our brackets. So I see right here I have something in my brackets here, 5 times 2. So I'm going to go ahead and find the value of that expression, which would be 10. Then, okay, I'm going to cross that out because I went ahead, I found the value of that one, and I have some, another set of brackets over here. 30 minus 5, well, that would be 25. So I'll write 25 underneath, and I'm going to cross out that bracket. All right, now I have to bring the rest of my expression down. So I have used my brackets, so I'm not going to be including my brackets. I'm on to my braces now. So I'm going to have a brace right here. Use that. I need my plus sign. I'm going to bring down my plus sign because that's inside of the braces. And then I'm going to bring my closing brace down as well. and then divided by 5. All right, we're getting close to the end here. So now we have our braces left. So we have one set of braces. I'm going to switch colors again here. And now we have 10 plus 25. Well, that's pretty simple. 10 plus 25 is 35. So I'm going to bring that down. Remember to cross off what I've used. And then I'm going to bring down the rest of the expression, which is divided by 5. All right, and I'm almost done here. Now, we can't stop showing our work yet. We still have to continue. So I'm going to close it off by doing my division here. 35 divided by 5. Well, I can use inverse operations and say, well, I know 5 times 7 is 35, so my quotient must be 7. 35 divided by 5 equals 7. So when I evaluate my expression, the value of this expression is 7. All right, so if you need to go back and rewatch that, that might be a good idea. If you've got it, we're going to go ahead and move on. All right, now sometimes you're going to get a word problem and you're going to need to create an expression based on this word problem. So we're going to go through this word problem together. Kathleen's weekly allowance is $8. I'm going to go ahead and circle my number, $8. Eduardo's weekly allowance is $5. Every week they each spend $2 on lunch. Write a numerical expression. Okay, I'm going to have to write an expression. Ooh, I'm going to erase that though because that just messed up my whole word problem. I'm going to write a numerical expression to show how many weeks it will take them together to save enough money to buy a video game for $45. So I'm underlining my question portion so that I know where to look. But in my question portion down here, I have another number. I have $45. And I missed a number up here, which is $2. I'm going back and rereading. Okay, so it looks like what I have right now is I have a couple of things going on. First, I have Kathleen's weekly allowance. So I'm going to start with her. So she starts off with $8 every week, right? But how much does she spend every week as well? Well, she spends $2 of her weekly allowance on lunch. So I'm going to have to take that away. Now, I'm going to put parentheses around that because this is something that would be solved together. Now I can move on to Eduardo's. Eduardo's weekly allowance is $5. Okay, so I'm going to put that in its own set of parentheses. He makes $5 a week, and he spends $2 on lunch as well. And I know that they each spend it separately because it says every week they each spend $2 on lunch. So 5 minus 2 as well. Now here comes the interesting part. I'm supposed to write a numerical expression to show how many weeks it's going to take them together to save enough money to buy a video game. Ooh. Let me correct this really quickly. Video, not video. So they are trying to save enough money to buy a video game for $45. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to want to figure out how much money they make a week first. So I'm going to put this in brackets because I want these parentheses to be solved before I do anything else. Well, then what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to figure out how much money they make every week, and I'm going to divide 45 by that number to figure out how many weeks it's going to take for them to come up with $45. All right? So I have my numerical expression. Does it say to evaluate it? Nope. So I'm just going to have my expression here. 45 divided by brackets, parentheses, 8 minus 2 plus parentheses, 5 minus 2, end it with some more brackets. All right. Now it is your guys' turn to practice this. So write these expressions down in your math journal. Make sure that you go through all the steps, take them carefully, and then when you are finished with your whisk, please make sure you hit the turn in button when you are done.